Organic emergency food. On sale now at brighteonstore.com.
Welcome to Counterthink with Mike Adams. You're watching Infowars.com. You can also check out the episodes at counterthink.com. Today's episode and exploration is a very important theme. It's called The Globalist Plan to Destroy Humanity to Save Humanity. And I know that sounds like a contradiction, and in a sense it is, but throughout today's episode I'm going to explain what the globalists are actually trying to do from their point of view, and why they believe that most of humanity that's alive today must be, in their view, destroyed. And this is their plan to save humanity. Now, if that makes no sense, just stay with me because I will explain it all. Also today, by the way, a couple of programming notes. My new film I've been working on for 2 years called Biosludged is launching November 28th. You can view it for free. Just go to biosludged.com. That's with an ED on the end of the name, biosludged.com. Or you can go to brighteonfilms.com. And there on November 28th, you can view the film. I'm going to play the 1-minute trailer here shortly at the end of this segment or sometime in this segment. This is a film that you must see to understand the globalist plan to destroy humanity, because they are encouraging the mass poisoning of the food supply through this process called biosludge or biosolids. This is something that they know will cause mass poisoning. They do this on purpose. They are well aware that they're doing this. They know the poisoning will cause massive infertility, expose people to gender bender chemicals, and much more. So let's take a look at that trailer. It's about a 1-minute trailer, and I'll be back after that trailer to explain more of what's coming on today's show. Let's go ahead and roll that now. Our ecosystem is in the crosshairs of this biosludge industry.
Any toxic chemical that a bioterrorist could want to use can be added to a sewer, go through the plant, be spread out courtesy of the municipal government. Nobody will know it until people start dropping dead.
And that film is called Biosludge. I hope you enjoyed that trailer. It features Dr. David Lewis, the author of Science for Sale. Dr. David Lewis is a former EPA scientist and an EPA whistleblower. He's one of the people who really has exposed how the EPA is the environmental pollution agency, that they are deliberately attempting to destroy human health, destroy the ecosystem that sustains life on our planet, and mass poison every living person on the planet through biosludge, which is a massive aggregation of toxins. So be sure to check out that film. Again, you can watch it for free starting November 28th. It's at biosludged.com or go to brighteonfilms.com. And speaking of Brighteon, by the way, you know, that's the new name of our independent video website, the alternative to YouTube, where you have free speech protected with a few limits. Obviously, you can't violate the law or call for violence, but Brighteon.com has now over 10,000 channels and over 100,000 videos, and it continues to grow, and Infowars is a big channel there. Infowars has thousands of videos there, and of course, none of their videos are banned. So if you want to see the truth that you're not allowed to see on YouTube or Facebook or Google or Twitter, just go to Brighteon.com. That's brighteon.com, E-O-N for the eon. Now, coming up on today's show, I've got a warning for all of you about using pharmaceutical drugs if you're a gun owner. They're going to use your medical records to take away your gun rights. I'll talk about that when we come back. And then we're going to get into the mass poisoning of humanity and why the globalists want to destroy the human race. Stay with us here on Counterthink. We'll be right back with all that and more. And we're back on Counterthink with Mike Adams. Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate all the affiliates who are broadcasting this show in the interest of protecting humanity. I'm going to start out with a big warning for all of you who are gun owners. It's now obvious that your medical records are about to be used against you to confiscate your guns. With the Democrats now about to be in charge of the House of Representatives through, of course, massive election fraud and ballot stuffing, they're going to try to push legislation that would take away Second Amendment rights from any person who has ever been on antidepressant drugs. So if you have ever been given a prescription by a doctor for SSRIs or antidepressants or Prozac or other forms, you are now at risk of having your Second Amendment rights taken away. This is not just the red flag laws where a neighbor can call and say that, oh, they think you're violent and they have to come take away your guns. It's more than that. There's a whole movement in modern medicine called the gun quack movement, where doctors are pretending that guns are the problem in society. Doctors are calling for gun confiscation. And they tweet out pictures of removing bullets from people's legs and so on, and how horrible it is that people got shot. And so these gun quacks, they want to take away the Second Amendment right, but they don't realize that they would be concentrating guns in the hands of evil government, specifically a Democrat-run government. Now, left-leaning governments have committed mass genocide, mass executions, democide as it's called, using firearms to mass murder over 260 million people in the last 100 years or so. So if these doctors think guns are bad, why would they want to put guns in the hands of a government that has monopoly firepower, knowing that history proves that those governments would use those guns to commit mass murder and genocide? But you see, these doctors aren't smart enough to know history. So they call for the complete confiscation of firearms. Well, here's why this matters. Because doctors are going to use your medical records against you. They're going to start calling for anyone who's been prescribed antidepressant drugs to have their guns taken away. You will no longer have a Second Amendment right. So if you are dealing with depression, I want you to understand there are natural remedies. There are nutritional remedies that you can use. You can take omega-3 oils. You can take fish oils. You can engage, you can take 5-HTP. You can take, trying to think of all the different names. I mean, go to my website, naturalnews.com, search for depression, and you will find literally hundreds of articles about natural supplements that help ease depression. I know InfoWars Store offers fish oils and many products. Of course, they don't claim that it treats depression. That's not allowed by the FDA, but they do offer omega-3 oils via fish oils and other products. I mean, just start doing your research here, because if you get a prescription, that's going to be a red flag against you. And if you've had prescriptions for antidepressants, you need to stop those immediately. Do not go back to a doctor that writes you a prescription for psychiatric drugs. That will be used to take away your Second Amendment rights. And notice, by the way, that so many of the mass shootings are taking place now carried out by people who have been on antidepressant drugs. And that link is becoming more and more obvious to the powers that be, even though I've been reporting it for 15 years. But now the Democrat-controlled Congress is going to use that fact to try to take away your Second Amendment rights. So there you go, a very important programming note. Now, let's get to the main theme today, how the globalists plan to destroy humanity to save humanity. What does that mean? First of all, from the point of view of globalists, they want the human race to survive, but only the elite. They are not interested in the survival of, frankly, third world nations or populations that they see as inferior. Yes, the globalists are running a master race kind of eugenics program. This is the fulfillment of the dream of Adolf Hitler. And this is why the EU is now calling for a new army. They're trying to raise a new army to defeat the United States. Why is the United States in the crosshairs of the globalists? And why are the globalists using migrants to overrun Western Europe and overrun the United States of America? The answer is simple. Because the United States is a sovereign nation that refuses to bow down to globalism. And the globalists need total planetary control in order to push their depopulation agendas. So America must be defeated from the point of view of the globalists, and the migrants are useful. I don't want to use the word they use useful idiots, They're not all idiots, but they are being manipulated. So they're useful tools of the globalists to come in and invade America, overrun America's borders, overrun America's electoral system, get Democrats in power, and then allow the Democrats to cede national sovereignty to United Nations globalists. And then those globalists will accelerate their global plan to depopulate the planet. Now, as this is happening, it's important to understand that the mass poisoning of humanity is already well underway, and it's setting the stage for global depopulation. But before we get into the details of the mass poisoning, which I will cover in this show, it's important to understand why the globalists think that they need to murder or eliminate like 90% of the population. Why? A skeptic of that argument would say, no, the globalists are financially benefiting by confiscating the wealth and productivity of all the people. That's not actually true for two reasons. Number one, more than 50% of the population of the world now is essentially on the take. They're living on some form of entitlements or government handouts. And the globalist governments now see these populations as really a detriment to the aims of global government. These populations are sort of like anchor weights on what they see as their ultimate mission, which is to, by the way, to develop new technology, to colonize other planets, to mine asteroids for precious metals, not just for the value of gold, for example, but for the scientific applications of these rare minerals and metals that are very common in meteorites. There's actually a technological desire behind this, and much of the material is floating around in outer space. But in order for governments to spend the money they want to spend on space exploration, colonization of Mars, snagging meteorites or harvesting meteorites, working on faster-than-light travel systems, and so on, they need to push like 50% of the national economy into research and design, science and technology, weapon systems, travel systems, faster than light, I mentioned, all of these things, space propulsion technologies, new engine systems. And I'll explain more about why that's important to them. They cannot afford to keep paying money to all of the entitlement collectors, which they see, this is not my point of view, this is what the globalists see, they see people who are collecting entitlements as useless eaters. And they realize that that's taking away from their goals. So they want to find a way to eliminate the useless eaters as they see them. And in order to do that, they are willing to destroy nations. They're willing to assassinate and execute people. They are willing to violate all laws. They're willing to create a global totalitarian regime. And the other reason, by the way, why the globalists don't need the masses anymore is because of the rise of the robots. Robotic automation systems will very shortly be able to do everything that humans have been able to do at the low-wage labor level. This includes harvesting food. We've run countless articles recently about robotic food harvesting systems that will replace the migrant workers in places like California. Amazon is investing heavily in workforce automation systems in their warehouses. And that's why Amazon is not hiring as many people this year as they used to hire for the Christmas season, or as they call it, the holiday season, because they have now invested in more robotic automation. And within 5 to 10 years, most warehouse workers in places like Amazon will be completely obsolete. Truck drivers will be obsolete. It's almost there right now. Many of the tasks that low-wage laborers are carrying out right now will be replaced with automated robotic systems. And that eliminates the need for the globalists to have a human labor force. That means that most humans are about to become obsolete. I know, it's a lot to think about. There's much more ahead here, though. You're watching Counterthink with Mike Adams. When we come back, I'll explain more details about this globalist plan to destroy humanity. Stay with us.